Everybody to the Tuesday, October 15th, regular meeting of the Jamaica Selectboard. It is 7 o'clock. First order of business is to call for any late additions to the agenda. I'm going to add one. Andy's going to give us a small update on policing in the region. Very, very small update. And any other late additions to the agenda. Okay. Seeing none, I will move to the second item of business and make a motion that we approve the minutes from the September 23rd regular meeting and our October 9th special meeting of the Select Board. So, thank you, Kate. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing no discussion on the minutes, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you. Yeah, right, exactly. The next order of business is our general FEMA update. I'm gonna ask Greg, who's now closest to this, even though there's no money in FEMA, but there are projects proceeding, and so thank you, Greg.
Right, yes. Basically everything's moving along. I mean, just as what everybody sees in town, the Mountain Brook project is moving along very seamlessly. They guesstimating maybe just 10 days left. Will be good. We've covered quite a lot of roads in town, down here in the village and into East Jamaica, up on West Hill. So that part's been going well. Keith and I are still kind of playing it by ear, every couple of days with Hunter just to coordinate how much material may still be there, may still want to come out, make sure we do get it all out that we want, that we've got a place to put it. Do we need any, temporary storage sites for it and things like that. So, so far it's all been working perfectly.
Where do we stand versus the 17?
Roughly, we're at 14 right now.
Oh, we are.
Yeah. So only like 3,000 more, and that's just kind of an eyeball.
Right.
What's coming out.
Could you complete the sentence?
Oh, I'm sorry. That was a little shorthand. Thank you, Bob.
Yes.
So just as a quick reminder, the total scope and pricing is based on the removal of a total of roughly 17,000 cubic yards of material from the river.
Okay.
So that's kind of the guidepost. We know that if we're getting close to that, we have to start thinking, because our approval is for a price that is based on that volume, and I don't think there's anybody close to the project who thinks we're gonna come in under. Mm-hmm. The question is, if we get close or we go over, how do we handle that?
Because we want to make sure that what comes out is what needs to come out, but we can't go over that threshold, and we've talked to a couple of different.
I just wasn't sure when you said you stopped halfway, he picked it up.
Okay.
Yeah, we talk about this too much. We're work husband and wife.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Paul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I talked to Keith today. I don't want to step on anyone's toes, and he seemed to think that there won't be any overage or need to store any.
Right.
Now we will run it all out on the roads.
Right.
We're up on Warden Road today.
Yep.
End of Turkey Mountain Road. There's a place to use a lot there.
Yeah. Yep.
Where we got to connect the dots to the state park, kind of.
We probably won't get that far. I mean, that's a separate damage.
That was long.
Yeah.
But some could go there and help with
Right.
that part of the road, and that, because I was asking, what would we do with the extra? I was just asking him about some different things I had heard. And
Yeah.
seemed to think that they were going to use it all as of today.
Right, and that's what it's kind of boiling down to. I mean, that's
Right.
a lot easier, but we wanted to make sure too that we didn't start resurfacing a road that maybe only, was an 8 out of a 10, and we want to resurface the roads at 3 out of a 10, so to speak.
Right.
We don't really have a place for capacity to store a whole lot of it, so we were researching possibly leasing a location. A lot of different scenarios we're going through. And then even if we did have excess material, we bump it up against our limit, would it be possible that working with FEMA and or the river engineers to take out that material and have Hunter basically do it on his own dime and just to get it out of the river. Retain the material. So we talked about lots and lots of different what ifs.
If FEMA would agree, because that's right.
Yeah, and it also comes down to whether or not, we can take that much out of the river and things like that, so, yeah, so there's,
And if you haven't
But right
gone
now, it's
by
looking
the
like it's all
channels,
gonna go,
right.
it's looking like it's almost perfect, our estimates are good. The upside is that we're getting onto some roads that we didn't really think we were gonna get to.
Right.
We kind of scoped out maybe a dozen different roads in a priority level, and we're covering lots of them.
So where that is right now, the project in front of Tollbirds, where it's getting shored up on that corner, that's where it ends in front of the bridge, right?
They did pull material out from under the bridge.
Oh,
If you look at the channel.
And so the channel will be evenly distributed between the center
it's the pier.
pier in there. It was all on the left-hand side, but it will evenly be distributed, depending on the flow of water and whatnot. But they did go under the bridge and pulled some in from the other side. So the point of the project extended beyond the bridge.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think
So
I haven't really been.
Yeah,
Take a peek.
Yeah.
I've looked, but after work's kind of dark.
Yeah, right.
Bothering them
Yeah.
over there.
Right, yeah, so it's all good.
So it's a big road out there where the excavator's sitting.
Yeah,
Is
and
that-
then that would be
ramp,
kind
That
of,
stuff comes out. Is
right,
that-
and
is
it'll
that
be
gonna get
level,
crushed?
the final project will kind of look like it does next to the fire station.
Right.
Fire station, there'll be these tiers,
Benches, they call them benches.
Yeah, little mini floodplains within the river channel, so as the water comes up, it goes wider.
Okay.
So that
Oh,
will,
yeah.
a lot of that will be done down in there too, and I don't know how much material out of that ramp will be used versus how much comes back out.
But there's not a lot more crushing to do down there, except for what that thing's sitting on.
Pretty much,
Machinery.
right,
Yeah.
exactly, yep.
Yes,
It doesn't
Yep.
look like it.
I know. Believe me, I looked at it yesterday. I was like,
Yeah,
Okay.
so that would be,
Yeah.
that's about right, 30,000 yards or so.
Yeah.
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 And then all the other stuff, I'm just familiarized, I'm the main point of contact now with FEMA, so that's kind of something that's internally, we just administratively with Mike's absence, so I'm kind of still learning my way through there a little bit. We're ticking things off, being a little bit more proactive as far as, lot of details, but that's all
to
going.
get to approval on all the outstanding
Yeah,
projects.
right. And I was hoping to have a little bit more reporting back on where we stood with that, but not quite there yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe in 2 weeks.
What's that?
Maybe in 2 weeks.
Oh, for
I
sure.
mean, the idea is just to have as much as we can approved when FEMA is funded again.
Right.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Well, you're welcome.
All right. The next item of business is to approve the consulting agreement with Greg Meulemans. I will make a motion to approve the consulting agreement with Greg. It's on the terms that I've shared and that we discussed at the last meeting. Second, thank you. Any discussion?
I will delete that. I don't know how much, I can't recall how much we added last time, but I just wanted to be open about this. So this is, what I will be doing is certainly FEMA administration stuff, but it'll be grants, and other, kind of coordination between outside organizations like FEMA, the NRCS, which is the Natural Resource Council, the other U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, anything that we need some grant administration on. So it'll be a lot of, stuff that Mike was doing, but it's not paying me to cover my current roles as road commissioner or any of those other select board member. It's very, very separated. Distinct. So I
Yes.
just want to make that
Yes.
clear for transparency.
Okay.
Those other thankless jobs.
Right.
Yeah, all those other
At least this
ones
one,
I'll
you get a
still
slight
be doing
hourly
for
wage
free.
for it, right. Okay, any discussion?
Yes.
Oh, please.
I would like to thank you, sir, for the wonderful job on the roads that's happening up in Mountain Acres neighborhood.
Well, that's all part of this contract that we were just talking about, all the material coming out of the river, and that's, Hunter's crew is doing a great job, we contracted with them. And it's marvelous. I mean, the road conditions are great. The material that's coming out of the river is just about perfect for what we need.
So when this is all said and done, the consulting agreement with you, what will happen next annual meeting? Will our budget show a lessened budget or a bigger budget to encompass what this agreement is? There's
So
no
this,
big-
my agreement is only till the end of the year. Could be extended. We are also evaluating, as you know, our administrator resigned back in August. So we have that in the budget, so to speak.
Right,
So
so there's
this will
no
not,
change in the
this
budget.
will
This is
not
coming
even
out of
come
that.
close to that because my hours are currently probably one day a week where his were 4 or 5. And we are still evaluating whether or not, or what the role looks like for a town administrator. It may evolve a little bit and that my position then would be, I'd be phased out, so to speak. I'm not watching and letting people into the meeting.
Paul?
Yes, you said this contract you have with you runs to the end of the year. End of the year or the end of the term?
End of this calendar year.
Yeah.
That's just currently what it is. It
We
could
can
be-
extend it, but,
Yeah.
Okay, but your current situation runs to the end of the calendar year.
mhm.
So we're empty for March.
Right.
Yeah, but we're hoping that Greg will.
Well, hopefully a lot of this
Looks
stuff
at-
gets resolved, I mean,
Sure.
not
As we
resolved, but
Right,
completed, but.
Right, as we mentioned in the last meeting, another element of his scope is as he learns this role, is to actually create a new job description, potentially, for the role, and depending on what he discovers and recommends, he'll do it to in some measure until it's until the next meeting. Yeah,
I apologize, I missed the last meeting. So I
that's
missed
all right,
that
no
conversation.
worries, no
But if
worries.
there's anything I can do to help you set that up from history.
Mhm. For sure, thank you.
Okay.
Aside from scaring you away.
Yeah, don't do that.
I would have left a long time ago if I scared easily.
And we all watched you, Paul, so we would have been scared already.
You should have been scared. I
Right,
was.
right, that was a lot. Okay, seeing no further discussion, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 I'll abstain.
Okay, no nays. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, Greg, you're on the hot seat today. So the next one is to review the bid submissions for the NRCS funding projects.
Right, so these were grants that the town has received, and we are the administrator of those grants to do some stream bank restorations in the hopes of actually helping these property owners not sustain any damage in the future. There were 3 different projects. One of them turned out that it was not economically feasible, meaning that the estimate to do the repairs were more than the value of the property or of the building on the property. So that one, we don't even need to discuss. So the NRCS, the Natural Resource Commission, was not going to approve that, so that one is not moving forward. The other 2 were a project on Old Route 8. We received 3 bids. The lowest bidder was Fitzpatrick for $32,750, which is covered by the grant. And I would like to make a motion that we accept that bid.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion?
Any discussion?
Which properties are we allowed to say?
Yeah.
Sure, yep. It's Lorenzo DeConnick's property. It's on the, I guess it's on the stream side of Old Route 8. It is a mobile home,
Right.
a rental unit, and the river very much encroached on the front of the building, so it's probably from me to you away from the river, basically.
No,
right?
I know what
You know.
part it is.
Yeah. And similar situations on all these where the river has just really encroached on the building, so, in general, the state wants to support the property owner, but more or less they don't always want to harden a bank. I mean, they
Right.
want the river to move as it does, but, these cases make more sense that they get fixed, basically.
Oh,
Yep.
I'll call the vote. All those in favor of approving the Fitzpatrick bid for the old Route A project, please say aye.
Aye.
Great, thank you. And then was there one more?
There is one more.
Okay.
This one is located on Pikes Falls Road, up near the top of Pikes Falls, near Day Road, just basically just going upstream a little bit above Pikes Falls. Similar situation, the Mountain Brook and that, or like it's not the Mountain Brook there, but it's right up where Kitterbrook comes into Pikes Falls. And same thing, storm bank restoration or stream bank restoration. 3 bids were also received for this project. The lowest bidder was Imminent Construction at $55,000. I would like to make a motion
And that's covered by the grant?
That is covered by the grant, yes, yep. I would like to make a motion that we accept the bid of $55,000 from Imminent Construction.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion?
So we're not on the hook for any of this stuff?
We're not on the hook for any of this, the engineering costs are covered, the engineer.
You know?
Well, I just want to refine that slightly. So we're not responsible for any of the economics, right?
Right.
None of the funds. But technically, the town, the work is being done under the auspices of the municipality.
Right,
It's obviously, it's been engineered by an engineer, that's Hammond. It's being done by a professional. It's being approved by the state and the federal government. But we can't say that the town is out. It's not, and that's partly why Greg is involved.
well, being approved by us, too.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point.
And all the, like, even down to the detail of the access agreements between the property owners, between us, the
Right.
town, and the property, even though the town's really not going on the property.
Right.
It's the contractor that does, so,
That's the only way the grant will be issued.
Right.
yeah.
And we're also responsible for the reporting afterwards.
Yes, there's
So Sarah's involved.
post completion.
So I wanted to get involved too.
Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All right, any other questions? All right, seeing no more discussion, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Great. And that's it for tonight on that?
That's it for tonight on that, yes.
Okay, terrific.
So we are still, just as a next step, we are still waiting on two permits because the Army Corps of Engineers needs to approve a permit that's been filed. And also the State Department of Conservation needs to approve a permit, and that's been
For
filed.
both of these?
For both of these. We've
And-
not heard back from them. The construction window goes through November 15th. So there is a slim possibility that these don't get done in this construction year,
Okay.
but we're hoping they will.
Well, we're out of the discussion, I mean, kind of, why is the Army Corps involved?
They, on these particular streams, rivers, they're large enough that they have jurisdiction,
Oh.
which is
Because of
really
the,
not navigable, but they still do.
Right, right.
just curious.
Yeah, and exactly, but I don't know exactly how they do. I mean, it's quite a complicated application, but it's like, okay.
Wow, God bless you. All right, terrific. Thank you for that, Greg, so much. The next item of business is to reopen earlier discussions that we've had about potentially, considering a short-term rental ordinance. And I'm gonna turn it over to, can I ask you kind of some of your thoughts, or did you want me just to introduce?
No, it came to my attention because I heard that 20 towns in the state now have these ordinances, and different issues have come up, like the dog leash law. I don't know if the sign ordinance is really, but you know, the fact that Airbnbs are somewhat taking away from our housing options. It would be a good time to
Think about it. All right, so what I have raised in the past, it's certainly more than 20 municipalities in the state. I think it's 20 municipalities probably between Windham County and Bennington County alone. It's gotten quite common. Some of the reasons, and we talked about this, you know, we have a member of the fire department here, but one of the main concerns that's often raised, especially if you have a fire department in your town, is that it becomes very difficult to know who's actually in the house if there's not an ordinance requiring a registration of an owner of an Airbnb and a dedicated person if the owner does not live within a certain geographic area of the Airbnb. Do they have a designated paid consultant, you know, a manager that either lives or has a business close by so that they can be reached in a 911 situation or a flood? We had this back in '23, a lot of door knocking where there were Airbnbs and we had no idea, and that was a problem. So that's a big driver in many municipalities, where you've got the ratio, for example, that Jamaica has in terms of owned, full-time residents, domiciles versus second homeowners that are renting short-term rentals. Ancillary to that is, of course, compliance with town, help, ways in which to help ensure that there's compliance with town ordinances. We don't have zoning, we don't have that many ordinances, so that's not as much of a big driver for us, but it's not nothing. And then there are the neighborhood, kind of neighborhood impacts, right? So if there are neighbors around a property that's utilized either primarily or exclusively for Airbnb, there needs to be, there's a desire for residents to have someone who they can talk to about something that's going on. And so, what I've, floated in the past for us to consider is really just kind of a very limited ordinance, one that would require contacts for the fire department, 911 primarily, and to ensure that there is a point person for each of these properties if the owner is not within, most ordinances say within a mile. I'd have to look, I can't remember, there was some reasoning behind that and I just forget what it is because I haven't looked at it in a while. But that's really what I had raised in the past. We haven't really had we haven't gelled as a board around that. So I kind of open it, Andy.
Okay, I think some of these are around where I live. Say there's 3 of them. Just so the residents know, where I live on the corner of Water and Depot Street, across the street from me there's 3 full-time rentals in one building. People in and out, not an Airbnb. To the left is Mrs. Mann's properties. There's 2 good-sized houses and 1 big house down. So those are all rented all the time.
As short term?
No,
Oh, okay.
just regular rentals.
Mhm.
And then, those are the ones I can think of. Now, Hazel's place just sold, I think that's a second home now, I'm not sure. I don't think it's an Airbnb. But, so go up Water Street, and it's Rent City. One building has at least 7 full-time apartments, it's full right now. That guy owns 1, 2, at least 3 full-size houses that are rented.
But are they long-term or short-term?
They're long-term.
Oh, long-term, okay.
Right, am I forgetting anyone, or that's close? So, I'm not surrounded by Airbnbs. It looked like it for a while, but I think 101, that's like 1 rental, maybe that's 2 rentals, and I think they're full-time. So if you can find someone leaving one of those apartments, there are places to rent. Plus, what's that called? Joe's place down
Valley Ridge.
Valley Ridge. A few apartments down there, and that's all I really know about. I don't know any other full-size rentals, but I'm sure we've got them, and I'm sure we got Airbnbs. I just wanted to say that all these places are full right now around me. The reason I know about the ones on Water Street is I do some work for that guy. And plus I live there, I can tell who's renting what. And what's his name bought the building across from me and really made that livable. And all those are, you know, full of people that stay as long as they pay. That's the history with that one.
Okay.
So there's that. I'm just not against any of this, just I'm telling you.
Right.
Those
I mean,
are,
my question for the board is more, I'm happy to re-up my research and make a formal proposal, but I'd want to hear from the rest of the board that we're interested in that, and of course, anybody who's present.
I guess
you know.
I threw it out there in support of at least putting it on tonight for discussion.
Right.
And I'm not looking to have this huge bureaucratic oversight, like some of these, you dive into some of their
Oh, yes.
that ordinances
It
and they're
can
10
be,
pages
yes.
long and they're
Yeah.
2,700 different definitions, but
Yes.
just as a,
Sometimes adjacent to this one,
yeah.
then which shall go unnamed,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
But just as an initial discussion, as an enhancement to a means of communication,
Right.
to share our ordinances, to have a point of contact for any
Right.
rescue or
Emergency.
fire emergency type thing. That would be the level that I would be looking for,
Mhm.
and I mean, if it could be helpful, I mean, I
Right,
don't want,
right.
again, don't wanna get into a whole lot of bureaucratic.
Yeah.
One, we don't have an administrator to administer something
Yeah.
like this.
Right.
But also, it's been brought up before that sometimes people who are here temporarily on short-term basis might not know about transfer station, about how to
Right,
purchase bags and dispose of their trash and, you know, all of that.
right, and the ordinance would
Basic
say,
stuff
this
to
is
be-
the information you need to convey to your,
Right, which they may not.
clients,
be doing.
right. Karen?
Would you, I'm all in favor of having a registry for emergency services. I think that's great. I also think giving them information such as the transfer station and whatnot is good to have there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to go further than that. But it might also be good to have a $25 registry
There would be a fee.
or
There would be
something
a
like
fee.
that. It doesn't
Yes.
need to be much,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
just something that says that you're registered and
Right,
to cover the cost of sending.
right. Most of the
Papers and
towns that have a fee, it's pretty small.
Right.
I mean, it's certainly, and it's annual, like it's, you know what I mean, and it's something in that vicinity. Paul, did you raise your hand?
how does the fire department know where second homeowners are?
By
Or if they
Knock on the door.
the
Did it
knowledge in
myself.
our heads, just from living in town, that's how I
Right.
usually do it, and then we ask them right away. Are you renting? They'll tell you straight out. This is not my house, I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know where the flue is.
Okay, no, I
Yes.
believe that, I've
Yes.
painted enough blowbacks before.
I would have to say that I'm in favor of the registry. I'm in favor of the registry mostly because of those emergency services. It has been something that we've come across in the fire department to understand who is renting and where we need to be aware of situations. Again, I wouldn't be interested in going much further than that. The one concern that sparks the question is, I know the town has not been so diligent in the past on enforcing ordinances, specifically the sign ordinance, where there's several signs in town that do not comply. Who's going to enforce and who's going to watch over this registry to make sure that, I mean, there's got to be 300 of them in town right now.
At least.
Yeah, at least. Exactly.
Who's gonna make sure there's 300 signed up on this registry and go after the ones that don't?
Right.
That was
No, that's
fast, Sarah. Don, it's an excellent question. We are a skeletal staff, and everyone you see here is a volunteer. I don't think that enforcement it should be the tail that wags the dog. There's going to be some measure of compliance because there's always some percentage of people who comply, and that's gonna improve the current situation. That being said, enforcement does tend to be driven by awareness, and when folks are aware that someone's not complying, they will tell us, and it's a done notice that we can send. I'm doing that with respect to other ordinances right now. But you're right, we do not have a dedicated staff person. It's one of those, Mike Teller, who's not with us anymore, he was our sign, what the heck is the title? I'm forgetting. Sign administrator. He might not have been the best choice for that, but that is technically something which would fit within the role of the town administrator, whoever he or she may end up being. It sits within the purview of the planning commission. And you're right, historically, we've had mixed compliance, I would say. And so it's a good question, but there will be some measure of compliance, and it's what we've just discussed. It'll take me not a lot of time to draft. So the effort to actually implement it is relatively low for the benefit of whatever measure of compliance we get. And then I think we'll get better and better at it. I mean, just thinking about, Rupert, they started out slow, they have a lot of Airbnbs, and they're charging more than we're talking about. But they're getting there too. I think does that answer your question? I mean, okay, all right. Yes?
Yes, rental ordinance. My question is, in this tiny town, will this go before the public, like at the annual town meeting for a public discussion and vote? Because I find it very commercial and government prerogative to charge a fee when it could be like a welcome wagon, a packet that's given to folks that have rental properties without a registration fee that the town seems to want to impose.
There is sort of a welcome wagon thing that you have a packet, right, that you.
We used to.
Like for the transfer station and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, just a packet of information about the town. So in answer to your question, no, ordinances do not require a town vote at the annual meeting. Instead, there is it's about a 60-day period from start to finish. And I don't have the specifics in front of me, but it's very easy to look up. Ordinances are published. There's a notice and hearing, and then there's is there an appeal? I have to remember if there's an appeal period.
There is an appeal.
60 days.
And if people don't
Right. Thank you,
agree with
Sarah.
it, they
She's
can
the town
petition against it. So if we post the new ordinance for 60 days before it can be approved,
Yeah.
if the town says, I don't agree with that, you go and get 30 signatures, you bring it here, and then it goes back
Thank
to
you,
the board and
Sarah.
we start over.
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
And
so
that's how ordinances are
There
implemented.
is a way for the public to.
Of course, yes.
Oh, yes, and it will get published around town, on the website,
Yeah, in the
There's-
paper.
in the paper.
It just seems like till that day or that point in time, it's done in a vacuum by 4 people.
If we do it, we're just talking about it. We're a short one, so we're just talking about it.
Maybe we shouldn't even call it an ordinance, or maybe it shouldn't be maybe it should be a register.
Yeah, we're
It
just
would
talking
still
about it.
require, we'd have to follow the statutory process. If we don't put the word ordinance on it, I'm not sure why I'd have to do some research, because enforceability might be impacted. I have to do a little legal research on that one.
Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone. So that's helpful. I'll make the effort and put a proposal together, if not actually a formal draft. And I don't want to promise it for the next meeting, but certainly the following meeting I should have it. Okay, the next one is, and the next item on the agenda is a report out from the October 7th school board meeting and vote. Karen and Paul were both there with me. Essentially, just to remind folks, this was the outcome of the round robin of meetings of the West River Unified Education District board meetings in the towns of Jamaica, Townsend, and Newfane. Whereby they were socializing the outcome of the study, the long-term planning study, which resulted in an ultimate recommendation to close, presumably on a permanent basis, the school, Jamaica Village School and the Townsend School, and to concentrate all students in the district in the New Brook School and Leland and Gray. It was published and proposed at the October 7th meeting that the board would seek that both the towns of Townsend and Jamaica call a vote in November of the full electorate to enact a resolution which was identical in essence for both, which would provide to the board the authority, not the direction, not the approval, but the authority to make the decision to close these schools on or before, I think it was June 2026, right? So that it would be implemented for the September 26 academic year. There was a lot of discussion. We were represented, I think Jamaica had pretty outsized representation at that meeting, although there was a representative was he from the fellow next to me? He was Wyndham, not even Townsend, right? He was Wyndham, yeah. But also spoke eloquently. That being said, there had been so much active conversation at the round robin of meetings that the board had already, in essence, internalized the pushback. And they said that there were very good questions, substantive material questions raised by the electorate in each of the towns, not the least of which surrounded the fact that there's actually no formal plan that gets us from today to the two schools. Like not even really a high level plan. So when the questions were asked, well, how does this get accomplished? There was no, there were high level kind of suggested responses. So I think there was a realization, I'm not gonna put words in people's mouth, these are all, the meeting itself is you can watch it on Brattleboro TV, but in essence that in the absence of being able to answer those questions in some meaningful way, asking for someone like myself as a select board member to call a vote of the town and in some ways sell giving the board this authority with so little substance around what we're allowing them to decide on our behalf was unrealistic. And I think that there was already, a realization to that effect. So instead, the board has in essence taken back that question and the other major questions that were asked, and they have committed to pushing out to the towns answers to those questions. The first step is they're aligning on the dozen or so main Qs in what will be an FAQ of some sort, and they will publish that. They'll review it as a board and approve that being pushed out. I think there's still a driving understanding that the district is under pressure to do something, whatever that is. And there was even discussion of keeping, in essence, reopening the Jamaica Village School for a much smaller number of grades, so pre-K, K, and first, which if that happens, the board needs to reflect that in the next budget, which would be middle of the winter, right, first quarter of next year. So that's a possibility, especially because Newbrook would not be, that plan to expand Newbrook to accommodate all pre-K, K, first. I know Kate, as a longtime educator herself in this region, understands the difficulty. That's, for them to even get that ready for September 2026 is probably pie in the sky. So we're not even, we're talking possibly, at best, the subsequent academic year, which is 27-28. So I think there's been kind of a little bit of a pendulum in the sense that, okay, we know we have to do something, but it took us a long time and a lot of effort to get there. Now we need to, to do the next step. Representatives of Jamaica did also raise the fact that certainly before we actually take a vote, we need time to do a highest and best use study of the property. And the board absolutely has to give us a definitive answer that they're looking to close. Because our vote has to be yay or nay, and yay is we buy it back for $1, and we have an idea in our minds as to how the town can utilize that asset. And I didn't feel, Karen, you can tell me if you agree, I didn't feel any pushback to that. I think that was right, well understood and appreciated by the board and the superintendent.
There's a lot to consider.
Right.
We're not there yet. We haven't explored our options at all, so, as a town.
Right.
So if they were gonna put it on if they had their druthers, they would have put it on this November vote?
November 17th.
What about people that already voted early?
Oh, no, it's not, it wouldn't be, it would be an
Separate
Australian
vote?
ballot,
Oh,
separate
okay.
meeting,
Right.
Australian
That was
ballot.
the original plan, but then they
Oh, that's
changed
right,
it,
yeah, it was, you're right,
Right.
it was gonna be at,
That's what I thought they were talking about now.
Right.
no, they pushed it even before,
They were gonna call Sarah and someone said that, no, she's not there. Not there on Friday.
In my
I'm
budget,
there on
I'll be
Zoom.
thrilled to have another election on election day. That'd be great.
So we don't have to really do anything for a while.
no, this is an update, just to kind of let people know where it stands, yeah.
But we do need to have these conversations.
Yes.
At
Yes,
some point.
yes.
Does anybody know how much Winhall used their building when they bought it for $1 or did it, I should know.
Now it's a community, building, yeah.
But now it's a school
Right.
again, but I'm trying to remember whether there was a gap year between.
I don't think there was a gap year. I think it pretty much
I
rolled
should
into
know,
When we sold our school in Brookline, we had a daycare in there within the year.
Right,
Yeah.
there are some limitations for us, so if we
Yeah.
do buy it back for $1, we in essence can't compete with the school district, I think, for 5 years.
Private school.
Yeah, so we can't, we could do a pre-K and a nursery, but we can't
private school.
we can't open a private school that would be K.
That's one
But I
thing we
will
could do. But we also, I'm getting ahead of myself here, but there's like $750,000 in, repairs for that building. That's what they
for
say.
maintenance, right?
Yeah.
You know how that goes, you get in there and then it's $1 million, so.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not there though.
$1's not a good deal
Right.
about it.
No, it's not
Right.
good, that's an expensive dollar, one way or the other.
So, which is a good point, and
So we're
so
not there.
the idea would be if we are facing a decision, or we think we're gonna face a decision, we seek grant funds to retain potentially even Stevens Associates, which is the firm that did the long-term planning work, and have them undertake a highest and best use study for us, which would, of course, include an examination of the deferred maintenance. Now, bear in mind that their study was for use as a school. So deferred maintenance for a school is very different from what deferred maintenance would be if there was a significant change in use. So it's a data point for sure, but for purposes of our next analysis, I don't know that it's a driver. Yeah. Any other questions about that? Karen? Yes, please.
There's talk of a really long-term plan and building something maybe in Townsend. They don't have a spot yet. There's a couple of ideas, but building something that would last for many, many years, and that would be pre-K through 12. And I think we should they should put their focus on that instead of these temporary moves that are really not going to save us any money. I mean, they say $1 million, but I doubt it'll save any money. We won't notice it. We also should be thinking, so the projected student population was going down for quite a while. It's now barely going down, but it's pretty much level. The state is also saying that we should be putting 26,000 to 40,000 new housing units in the state of Vermont, with quite a few in Jamaica. That's going to change things also. We also have quite a few people moving here that are young folks right now. Young singles, young couples, and that could change things in the next few years also. We just have to figure out how to keep them here. What do they need to stay here in Jamaica? And if we close the school now, I think there's just too many unanswered questions in the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a general consensus that losing the school is not conducive to attracting and retaining new generations.
Right.
Yeah.
So we really need to look at what is best for our town in the next 20 years.
Thank you. All right, thanks for all the participation on that. I'm now going to go to the late addition to the agenda, which is
Oh, I forgot about that.
and it was like, okay, I'm almost ready to go home.
Well, part of one of my duties on the board is the sheriff calls it the law enforcement liaison, which really is only with the Windham County Sheriff's Department. I just like the conduit for the board, kind of, and we have a contract with Windham County Sheriff's Department, or whatever it is right now. Londonderry had got one, and we had talked to them, and that ended up being a better contract. Well, it worked out better because the town's close, obviously, so the town of Townsend is really sort of interested in, and the sheriff is interested in looking at Townsend, Jamaica, Londonderry, those 3 towns having different contracts in close proximity. Perhaps there might be a benefit to the 3 towns, especially Townsend, who was without a contract. So I really can't say what the sheriff was thinking the benefits might be. I just heard maybe a little better coverage for Jamaica. So
Efficiency.
I'm just telling you that I had a conversation with the Townsend Selectboard Chair, Allie Anderson, who was asked to call me by Sheriff Anderson, which the board, we talked about this at the last meeting. We're just having a conversation. Doesn't mean we're gonna get a break on our contract number or anything, just maybe the 3 towns being that close, the sheriff could come present, or whatever you guys want me to do, or do next. Or if the 3 select board chairs or whoever should get a presentation from the sheriff, just to see what he's thinking.
I think
So
Mark is
that's
planning
all
on
it is.
that, right? Mark
He
is.
said he'll do
Yeah.
whatever we would like,
Yeah.
so.
Okay.
So that's all it is, it's just a little information. As I spoke to them on behalf of the town of Jamaica, the town of Jamaica.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome.
All right.
Question? Sir,
Yes?
what does this town get in return for the contract money it pays to the sheriff? Because I know Townsend doesn't have a contract.
Well, I don't have the contract in front of me, so we get 20 hours a week, a lot of traffic enforcement, mostly there's some criminal investigation with that contract.
Okay.
And what I think they do, I can't speak for them, is they implement that the way they see fit, how they fulfill our hours. And when Londonderry joined, they might do 5 up there, or 4 and 4. And, you know, that's what it is in a nutshell.
And detailed reporting.
We just got
Yes.
our STARS report.
Where is the report from the
I
sheriff?
think it's in the basket.
Is it in the public website somewhere?
No, we don't post ours.
Do we post
Londonderry does theirs.
Some towns do.
Londonderry does.
You can come by anytime. Everything's here in the office.
It's in the office?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, they give us one every month, telling what roads they were on. Yeah, I think it's in the basket.
No.
Yeah, incidents,
I
yeah.
get it emailed to me.
I mean, it's
That's
high
what it
level.
said.
It's not like, granular, but there's a fair bit of information. on
Yeah,
it.
they give actually, for
Yeah.
law enforcement, they give quite a bit. And
Yeah.
then, not without getting into it all, sometimes say they do make an arrest, they got a prosecutor be witnesses on a DWI, then there's paperwork,
Mhm.
some of the money goes to that, you know,
So does the state police get involved
No.
in Jamaica at all?
this is different.
I
We
mean,
don't have
they-
any
If they
contract.
were called, they would get involved in certain
Right.
things.
Maybe.
right. You do
Outside
see
of-
the stateys sometimes. Sometimes they get involved.
They
But
may
that
And
order-
that's what Townsend's been relying on, just
Yeah,
the state.
and I forget it. The Townsend Town Chair, Select Board Chair can tell you the response she got from Lieutenant French about patrolling Townsend. I don't
The
know.
state, the
state
lieutenant at the
police,
state
yes,
level.
we-
Yeah.
Some towns hired or try to hire them, but right now they're understaffed. I don't really want to speak about the state police on
Right.
camera, because I don't have any interaction with them, I hope.
Right.
Lately.
At least not intended.
Not recently.
Right, exactly.
So that's a different deal. Some towns try to contract them, but I know that Townsend said the troopers are hard pressed to want to do overtime. They're stretched thin for bigger crimes,
Right.
so
Well,
that's just public knowledge, so.
and doing regional policing and increasing the number of towns helps them staff more efficiently and longer
And
term,
that's
so.
the gist of us 3
Right.
towns being
Yeah.
together and be single contracts.
Okay, thank you, Andrew, very much. The next order of business is to approve, sorry about that, the timesheets for the town office employees, the listers, the highway crew, and the transfer station. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on the time
I
sheets?
got one.
Okay, all those in favor, I'll call the vote. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Terrific. The next is to review and approve the pay orders. I would like a second.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor of approving the pay orders, please say aye.
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 Terrific. Public concerns. Are you guys here to share anything in particular, or are you just saying?
The STR was the most interesting.
Oh, okay,
So
okay.
I did draft one, or should I say AI just drafted one for you and I just sent it to your email.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. Was it for Vermont? Because AI will actually do state specific. What app did you use?
Gemini.
Oh, okay. GPT 4.0 will do it.
What are you talking about?
Short-term rental.
What's that?
Short-term rental.
The short, right, and he utilized an application that utilizes artificial intelligence to actually do a first draft of an ordinance.
Oh.
And
So
Tom
I
just did
I don't
it.
want to take pictures of all
Yeah,
their
Tom and I
meetings.
we can play role here, just pass it back.
I thought you knew.
So that was
all-
it? That was why
all
you were
your
here?
names
Nothing
used
else?
were.
Nothing
Yeah,
else,
right.
right?
Satellite.
Thank you for your volunteering. I like to say that whenever I see it.
Thank you
Yes.
for speaking for the fire department.
Yes, that was very
If
helpful.
the people don't know, could you say You're on the fire, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm on the fire department for
Who you
the
are?
past dozen years, 12 years, and I'm the first assistant, so I answer only to the chief.
Good thing it's Scott.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Don. Yes.
Yes, I was wondering if there's any update on the public records request.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That fell off. That's on me. I have it, actually. I did the artwork on it. And then because we don't have money for it, it kind of fell off my, thank you. I will send it tomorrow.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about that. Yes, yes. Karen, please.
Just wanted to say that we had a Jamaica Community Arts Council meeting a week or so ago. We have some new blood, and we'll be planning different events in town. I don't know when the next meeting is, so I can't tell people when to come, but it'll be on the Facebook page. Jamaica Day is August 16th next year.
Okay.
We are having a parade, and there'll be a Civil War reenactment. Which will be cool.
Are we gonna have the
We'll be here for
memorials on for that?
Yes, and it'll be here for the whole weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Where will they camp?
Next to, in the Holton Field, next to the History Museum, on both sides of the street.
Fantastic.
I know.
Will we have one side, one?
Well, and that, I went to one up at, did you ever?
Yes,
the Laura
normally they're,
The Laura Ingalls Wilder book, so Almanzo Wilder's home up in northern Vermont, they were up there a couple weeks ago. So I went up there to see it, and they did have a battle.
right,
So they are shooting, I mean, it's fake, there's no
Right.
bullets, and
Right.
they are setting off a cannon, and that was in the skirmish. And it was quite interesting. I don't know if we're going to get
to
the
that degree.
Confederate side or not,
Oh,
but they are going to be shooting off, and there will be a cannon a couple of times. It is pretty loud, but it's not that bad.
great, thank you
So if
for
there's a
that.
noise ordinance, we may hit it.
Forget it.
But we're very excited about it. At the next meeting, can we bring up about the town hall and usage at the town hall with the insurance?
Yes,
Okay, I think we talked about it
we
one
did,
other
we
time.
did. I think it's on my draft, but I'm gonna send myself a note to make sure.
Okay. And was there going to be a wastewater meeting, water, coming?
Not yet,
We're planning
because-
one.
Because there's no money.
Okay.
So right
So
now,
okay.
yeah, I mean, we're pursuing it legislatively, but according to our experts, there's not federal or state money outside of ARPA.
Okay.
So we would be asking the town to approve a $3.5 million bond vote, which, I don't,
Okay. I was
I
just
don't
curious
have-
where we were at with it.
yeah. I mean, it's an asset. The 90%, report is an asset, and, there is talk on the federal level. I mean, I think it depends in part on the outcome of the next election,
Right.
whether we would see an ARPA-like another round of funding, which is possible. But
It is.
absent that, it's a pretty steep climb for a town like Jamaica. And there's, at least as I understand it from our legislators, there's nothing at the state level right now that would chip away from the unfunded portion sufficiently to bring it to the town for a bond vote.
Okay.
Can I just ask something? If Karen didn't know that, she's involved in town, she's a lister. How did that information come down that this thing just stopped? Planning commission? You have to read their minutes? How did we know that?
Well, I have announced it myself
last
at this meeting multiple times.
That there's no money?
Yes, multiple times.
people because I heard it from her at the meeting.
Yes.
I never heard it until I heard it outside the meeting.
Well,
From Sarah. I
'Cause I
only
heard
missed
that-
one meeting.
It's because I pay attention.
A lot
I
happened.
missed one, I missed one.
I missed it.
yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I could
I
have
was just wondering.
said
She
it,
didn't-
I said exactly what I said tonight in
Okay.
greater detail multiple times at this meeting. That's
No,
kind of the way
You're losing it.
we have to push the information out.
No, I just never heard it. I was in Maine for one meeting.
You probably missed it.
Yeah, but it was more than one meeting.
So I had one more.
Andy doesn't listen to me. He's like my husband.
Yes, I do.
He's my work
Who?
husband.
What?
Who? Did I hear something?
God.
So I also
Karen has
have,
something.
Please.
the Rossendale Schoolhouse Committee will be meeting Sunday, October 27th at noon time. If anyone wants to join us, and we are discussing grant writing with that.
Wait, when was it? When was that?
27th at noon.
The
27th,
At noon.
Okay.
Sunday, October 27th at noon time at the Rossendale Schoolhouse. We have been in contact with our emergency management director, Greg Meulemans, about making it into an emergency shelter. And he thinks that's a great idea, so we're working on that with the grant writing. We had the, historical preservation,
Yes.
Vermont Historical Preservation.
Meg.
Yes, Meg, there was another guy who came out to look at it, to see what we have for options with that. That's the
Okay.
same group that gave us a grant for the town hall
Right. Okay.
When
He
did
came
that
out?
school close? A long
in the
time ago.
1950s.
A long time.
And it's,
There's still chalk on the chalkboard if you.
there's still
Oh, it's so
chalk
cool.
and
Yeah.
school globes and the globe, you know, the water jug,
Yeah,
everything. It's
really.
so cool in there.
It's, you get chills when you walk into that building,
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
there's ghosts in there. Something, Karen's not done, but did you have something to add?
Reference the idea of make that emergency management shelter. Historically, the access to that building was flooded. Did you go out on one of those runs to the whole area right there, intersection of 130?
Right.
Getting to that building would have been difficult, if not impossible.
Can you get in where Russellville Marketplace is? That's a little higher.
Possibly.
And you can access it from the back.
From the back, but you have to dig a road. I don't think
There is a road.
Oh,
There is a path.
behind it?
Yeah, it
And
just
we
needs to
would
be
just-
cleared, but there is
Right.
the infrastructure of a road there. There's
Okay.
gravel.
I
it's-
just
yeah.
remember as you used it, that whole area got flooded.
Right,
After
Because
the
that
flood.
access in the back, of
Yes.
course, that's the big access in the back.
That might be.
Then where the flood ends. I mean,
Right.
obviously,
Oh, totally. People may have to walk, you
I just
know, a
don't
little
think-
bit or something, I'm
Yeah.
not sure, but at least it gives us an emergency shelter up there.
I'm just suggesting those things get ironed out before you put a lot of time and energy into the building.
I've thought of them, yeah. And there is water and septic access because it's on that property
mhm,
used by Honey Pie. But we can get into that, it'll cost money to get into it, there'll be some grants and hopefully, but,
Yeah.
anyway,
It is a shared septic system, right?
it is,
It would be shared if somebody was up there using it.
yes.
It would be
right,
shared
it wouldn't be
first.
often, right,
No.
right. Thank you, anything else?
I had one more thing, but I just forgot.
I'm sorry, look at your phone.
The town hall repairs to the plumbing,
Scott's on it.
okay?
He's agreed, he knows roughly, he has to come in from the outside, but the door should be locked until he can get because someone used it. Yeah, I don't know, yeah, so, just to the extent you're in there, can you make sure the door is locked or blocked or something so that nobody uses the
I wonder if the
bathroom?
library realizes it.
Oh,
Oh,
why do
they do
they
movie
send
nights.
people to, well, movie night's over,
No.
right? Oh, it's
They
not?
started it again.
They started it again?
It's on Saturdays
Oh.
now.
Okay, I'll let you know when Scott's able to do the work,
Okay.
because there is something more fundamental that has to happen. But he knows it's approved and he can do it. He kind of has to work it into his days and it is gonna require a little finessing, but in the meantime, yes, nobody can use the bathroom.
Okay,
Yeah,
so make that
Do you need
note
me to-
to Madeline then.
yeah, to Madeline. You know what, I'll tell Linnea and she'll tell Madeline. I think Linnea's aware, but I'll make sure she tells.
Okay,
Yeah, okay, thank you.
yeah.
Anything else? That was it?
I think that's it. December, we have the craft fair coming up, so we.
Yeah, I told Greg, I
Yeah.
told Scott, I'm like, we're gonna have some events coming up, so he knows.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I could go on, but.
Next meeting,
That's it.
yeah, let's, if we can remind folks about the craft fair closer to the front, that'd be great. Anybody else? All right, so I am going to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Great, thank you.